My name is Greene and I am a national powerlifter for Trinidad and Tobago. I was diagnosed with advanced glaucoma, October to be more precise. On diagnosis, I remember the doctors telling me that in about 5 years' time you could be blind. It was a hard pill to swallow, so I had a few more visits, a couple more doctors, and they all said the same thing. But 3.5 months later, the 5 years came early. I was totally blind in both eyes. It baffled the doctors, it baffled me, my family. My entire life turned dramatically this February afternoon. I can remember still asking myself, what next? What next? And a couple months into asking that question, I was visited by a rehabilitation field officer from an organization called PAVI, Persons Associated with Visual Impairment. And what that organization did at that time was offer assistance to persons that who lose sight and their families through the form of counseling, rehabilitation, and more like teaching them to live again. I remember for the first few visits, it was really difficult to believe what this young lady was telling me, but a couple months into the program, I decided to give this program a try. I eventually enlisted in the program through their youth skills training program in, I think in early 2001. A year after out of that program, I graduated from the program as a top male. In that program, something woke up inside of me, my desire to speak to people. I've always wanted to do that, but always intimidated. But for the first time, I saw myself doing this. And is while I was beginning to pursue this, I entered the gym in early 2003 and I fell in love with it. 3 months into the gym, a couple instructors asked me if I would like to do a powerlifting competition. I knew nothing much about powerlifting, but just the mere fact that they asked me, I said I have nothing to lose, and I tried it. And I liked it, and I said it's something I could do. I remember speaking to many persons about, becoming a powerlifter, and most persons would say, you can't do that. And I would keep asking why. And to date, nobody could really answer me clearly on why I can't. I believe mainly because they have never seen a blind person doing it, or blind persons in the gym, but just the mere fact that because they said I can't, I tried it. 2004, it had no national competition. I kept training and stopping. 2005, I kept training and stopping. But 2006, I came to this gym. And in coming to this gym, I met one of the coaches that used to be around the next gym and assist him. His name is Marlon Belfort. He is presently my coach still. And after training for a couple of weeks, I said, Marlon, I want to go away and compete. Remember he saying, Carla, it's hard work, I said, I'm willing to work hard. But he said, if you're willing to work hard, I'll try it. And from January 2006, Marlon and I, we started to train towards going to Puerto Rico in June of 2006. And, but something happened. In April of 2006, I fell into a manhole right outside the gym. I thought at that time, my dream has ended because I damaged my back. My daughter was about a little over a year and I couldn't even lift her up. But for 3 months I struggled, and July came and I came back to the gym with some pain, with some difficulty. But I missed the championship in 2006 because it was in June, and I decided I'm going to train for the next championship. And it was the North American Championship. It was taking place in Guatemala City in 2007. In June of that year, Marlon, my coach, Cohen, my assistant, and I, we left Trinidad and Tobago to represent our country for the first time as a national powerlifter. To my amazement, when I got there, being the only blind person in that competition, I was silently received. Everybody was kind of excited. I've never seen a blind person lifting weights before. I can remember the most scariest moment, I believe, in my life was when my coach took me to the bar and he said, well, Carlo, you're on your own now, and fear hit. My legs started to tremble, my knees were buckling, and you could hear a pin drop in that stadium that afternoon. I remember I went under the bar, I took up the bar, and I walked back to my position, hearing the referee say squat.
Squat.
And I squatted and came back out of the squat, and the entire stadium erupted.
Nice job.
You know, it was like a phenomenon. And I remember after lifting, I cried like a baby. Coach said, hey, time to stop crying, but you're going to receive a medal. All desire was just to compete then. But after hearing that, hey, you won a medal, the only blind person in this competition, I was excited. And a brand new fire ignited in my being. I started to see myself doing this and becoming great at this.
This is the whole idea of, for me, of being a coach. It's not about actually winning and training to win, but you're training people to better themselves. And in turn, as a coach, you get better as well. I've always said, Carl, the things Carl teach me, I would have never learned if I hadn't put myself with him. I always say, I feel one day I go get to coach this man. One day we go be together. So said, so done. He came and he asked me, Marlon, I want you to coach me. I say, you're sure? I said, this is no easy road, no. This is hard work. You have to be willing to work. This is no easy road. He say, boy, I'm willing to do what it takes to get there. I say, all right.
After that first championship in Guatemala, we placed second. We went on to New Zealand in December of that same year. We placed third in that competition, and we came home with 3 medals, a silver in the deadlift, bronze in the squat, and an open bronze medal. That year, powerlifting nominated me for the Sportsman of the Year, and at the First Citizen Sports Foundation Award, we came out in the top 10 sport personality of the year. That was 2007. 2008, I was nominated again. I again placed in the top 10. And 2009, I was placed also in the top 10. But in 2008, we went to the World Blind Powerlifting Championship. It took place in Miami. The first time a Trinidadian person was going to that championship, the first time the Caribbean was ever represented in that championship. It had a couple world records, some of them pending for over 20 years. At that championship, we broke 11 world records. We went back to that same championship again. They had it in Miami. This year we didn't broke 11 world records. We broke 7 of my own records. And the story just continued. But I've entered 3 competitions for the blind. Most of the tournaments I take part in are open championship for quote-unquote sighted people, or some may say normal people, and I'm excited about doing that. Last year, a dream I had for a couple of years of promoting sports for the visually impaired in Trinidad and Tobago, because it's something that's done all over the world. And in June of this year, the Ministry of Sports granted us the quote-unquote the license to operate as an NSO, a national sporting organization to promote sport for blind persons. I'm the deputy chairperson of that organization. And one of the sport that some of the sports that we looking to promote right now is a sport called goalball. It's something like football with hands. We want to embark on blind soccer. It's a 7-a-side soccer that is played by blind person. These both sport, the ball has something like a key song on the inside of it. Another sport that we want to venture out in is the swimming. So most of these sports take part at a Paralympic level, and the sport that I've always wanted to do. I did it when I was younger, and I had the opportunity to take part in the Sajiko National Athletic Championship. I've never entered any competition to lose, but at my first shot putting event at the Sajiko Nationals, at the end of the championship, I placed second at my first shot putting career. And just like with powerlifting, a joy, a spark, a light inside of me. I want to see how best with my two coaches, how I could partner powerlifting and shot putting. A question that a lot of people ask Carlos from time to time is, are you the strongest man in Trinidad and Tobago? I will still say no. I'm not the strongest man in Trinidad and Tobago. I know that there are a lot of persons stronger than me out there. But one thing I can boast is that I believe I'm one of the most determined human beings there is. So I believe in dreaming. I believe once somebody set their mind to do something, it can be accomplished. Thus far, I've won over 40-something international medals for Trinidad and Tobago as a blind person. I've broken over 20 world records. I've broken regional records. In March of this year, when we went to the Caribbean Powerlifting Championship, I broke two regional records in the deadlift. The Caribbean deadlift record as a master and the North American deadlift record as a master. In July, we went to Miami, and again, I had the master's record of 315 kilograms. It's approximately 694 pounds. I not only broke that record by lifting 320, the open deadlift record in North America was 317.5 kilos. In one lift, I broke the two records again. I didn't go to the World Blind Powerlifting Championship in April of this year, mainly because of financial constraint. And a Russian guy kind of tipped the scale a little, so I was pushed down to second. But at that championship, they are reviewing my records right now to take it back to the World Blind Powerlifting Arena. And hopefully, when the results come back, I'll be back on top.
Coming up next.
I remember a few years ago, I was looking at a documentary by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's an Ironman, and one of the bodybuilders, he keeps going up in competition, but he's not winning. And the announcer asked him a question. I think his name was Mike Katz. He said, if you lose again, what will you do? He paused and he said something that I keep at the back of my head. He said, there's only two things a dog will do to you if you kick him hard enough and long enough. He said either he will roll over and die or he will turn around and bite you. That day my cat said, I'm like that dog, I'll turn around and bite. If I lose again, I'm coming back. And that's Carlos Greene's story. Like I said before, I'm a determined person. I have no fear of failing. When I was young, I remember one of my greatest fears was failing. I've learned to deal with failure. Failure can do one or two things. It could either make you quit or make you stronger. I'm one of the persons that will use failure to make me stronger. Because at present I have a wife, I have 3 beautiful children. I'm in the process of still building my home. At times it's tough. Powerlifting is an expensive sport. One thing my coach always says, he said, Carl, I'd love to see the day you compete without an injury. I've always competed with an injury, mainly because most time I'm not fully nourished as I supposed to be, because powerlifting takes out, and at times it's expensive. I might be able to do the stuff that I need to do in the form of supplement and proper diet. So from time to time, my body it crashes. I'm not a young guy again. I'm not in my teens. I'm not in my 20s. I'm not even in my 30s. You know, I've entered the area where men say you begin to live. I'm in my 40s now, and I believe I'm a lot stronger. I feel healthier than when I was even 25. So I'm excited about the future.
We in this country have the only blind man that competes with sighted people in the world. Not the nation, not the Caribbean, but the entire world. But yet still, he is treated as a nobody.
At times, I believe that I could be treated better. For example, when rain fall, anytime rain fall, my coach will be watching the door to see if I'm coming. So when a teaspoon of rain fall, I have a cup of water in front of my yard. I can't come out. For over 15 years, I've been begging every government to fix my road. And it just keeps getting worse. I've always medaled going to represent Trinidad and Tobago. I have many times. I have no supplement. Right now I need powerlifting gears. Right now I need training gears. And I don't believe I should have to be begging for this. Some places you go and everybody they want a photo, they want to get a little touch, they're bringing their children to, you know, just get a little touch. You know, you're walking and sometimes they ain't telling you directly, but hearing them talking and they're calling their friends to see the man, you know, and it brings a sense of pride. To walk around daily with 270 pounds and train to maintain that, to go and represent your country and to compete against the best in the world, you need stuff. And many times the stuff is not there. So, you know, like I said before, I've never cried over my blindness, but at times the way I believe I'm treated, I've cried. And many mornings I've woke up early and I've shed many tears. But I've learned when the sun rises, it's a new day. It's a new day, you know, dry your eyes, lift your shoulders and let's go. Today could be a greater day. Today could be the day when all your worries for supplement and gears are over. Your worries to walk out on a dirty road, a muddy road, it's over. But it didn't happen today, so who knows, maybe tomorrow. And that's what I do. Every day I take it as it comes. I remember telling someone, I believe it was my pastor then, that I'm going to be the most effective blind person there is. I was not in powerlifting, because that was in 2000. I was not doing anything, but something on the inside of me keep telling me not to quit. And I had to be strong for my wife, you know, well, that's my darling. She's still there. She goes almost anywhere once she gets the opportunity to go with me, but at the initial stages, it devastated her more than me. So I had to be strong for her. My daughter now was 7 months old, so I had to be, you know, so I was forced to be strong. And I'm a firm believer in the meaning of your name. Your identity is locked up inside of your name. And when you study the word Carlos means strong. You know, Carlos means strong. So in a sense, I'm just living out the identity of who I really am. So I remember when I first started lifting, you know, people would call me strong man. I believe they were teasing at first, and then even my coach from that he always say, Carl, you don't understand the kind of strength you have. And a lot of persons would see it, but, you know, and I'm just determined to go on. You know, like I said, I've never cried over my blindness. I want to take no credit for how the transition took place, because it was like a page just turned and Carlos continued living. And that's one of the things that afforded me the privilege to elevate myself at the head of the organization. Even the persons that were responsible for telling me about how to go about being rehabilitated, they were shocked at the way how I just took charge of my life and just kept on living. I'm a dreamer. I live to see things happen. A lot of persons may think of things could happen. Some will just sit along and wonder how it's going to happen. I'm one that makes things happen. I remember my coach heard me talking about shot putting. Even he said yesterday, he said, you telling me and I thinking it's some little jokey competition you going in, you know, that's me. I find something, I say I want to do this. I don't like losing, so I'll work hard at it. Even if I lost, I would not give up. I'll say something I did wrong and go back and train hard. Sometimes people, even in the gym, people say, well, how coaching telling you nothing? But we had our days, coach would ball at me, rough me up for many years. So I've learned to try my best to perfect the art. Just do it right, and they say, do it right the first time. I want to keep doing it right the first time. You just keep doing it. I'd love to go to one of the Paralympic Games and throw the shot put. I would love to break a world record at the 2012 World Powerlifting Championship. So that is where I'm seeing myself heading in the immediate future. Long term, I'm desirous that someday whichever government it be at that day would build a sporting complex in my area. And one of the highlight, I would love it to be weight sports. You know, you have a massive gym where young people could come and take some of their stresses off. Could come and find somewhere to go that they don't have to smoke. They have to, you know, just come and listen to stories. Where when you walk into that arena, you must be seeing some of the great persons that represented Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of persons have represented Trinidad and Tobago in the past, and their stories died with them. I would love to let these great persons get their history and get DVDs or whatever on them so that their stories could play, so that the younger among us could hear these stories and find hope. Because that's one of the ingredients that is missing in society today. I believe is hope. A lot of people running around hopeless, and a lot of us elder ones are pointing them in the wrong direction. So as they look and as they listen and as they read and they hear Carlos Greene's story, I pray that they find hope. And that hope would encourage them to live positive lives, lives that would bring great results, even would surprise themselves, that they want to know that, hey, I have this inside of me. You know, I love talking to young people. I love speaking. I love to go back into the prisons in Trinidad continually. I've did it once or twice, but on a continual basis. I love to talk to young people. I've been trying for many years to get into the school through social program, through educational program, and I just keep running into the stumbling block. And I believe I have a story that Trinidad and Tobago would learn from.